Hey, welcome back to my channel, Duct Tape Mechanic. In this video, I'm going to show you the top 3 reasons why your front load Kenmore or Whirlpool washing machine is not draining. So if you find this video to be helpful, make sure you subscribe to my channel for more DIY and tinkering videos. Alright, so here's the washing machine in question. It's a Kenmore front load washing machine, part of the Kenmore HE series. This is an HE3, but this video is going to be applicable to pretty much any of the HE washing machines from HE1 to HE5, and also the Whirlpool Duet washing machines. Pretty much all of the Whirlpool and Kenmore front loaders are identical in parts and issues. That's because Whirlpool is the parent company to Kenmore. So in this video, I'm going to discuss the top 3 reasons why your machine's not draining. So basically, you've noticed that either it could be not completing the cycle, or if there's a drain issue, also your clothes are going to be very damp if there's a drain issue. And the most apparent is if you open up the store, you may get water that comes out or water that's visible in the drum. So it's going to be mostly caused by these 3 issues. So I'm going to show you how to resolve this so you can get your machine up and running quickly. Alright, so the first reason why it's not draining is because there's a kink or a clog somewhere in the system. So the first place you want to look, the easiest place I should say, is to look at the drain hose in the back. Now this can be kinked up. For it to be clogged is a little bit more difficult just by how this machine is designed, but it's also can be beneficial just to undo this clamp and pull this hose down and inspect it for any sort of clogs, but it can easily be kinked, so you just want to make sure it's nice and straight. This often comes with a U that'll help it go into the drain pump. So the first thing to do is check the drain hose for any sort of kink or clog. Right, so after you've inspected the main drain hose and eliminated that as being the cause of the washing machine not draining properly, the second main reason, or still in the subcategory of kinks and clogs, is a clogged pump filter. Now this is going to be probably the most common reason out of any of these reasons I give, because just the way the washing machine is designed and the way the pump filter is designed, it's meant to be that it's supposed to be periodically cleaned, which is a little bit difficult with how the panel here is set up. So a clogged pump filter can be a reason why your washing machine is not draining. To get to it though, you're going to have to come to the bottom and you're going to have to undo these 3 screws. There's one right there. It's a T20 Torx screw, so it's like a star bit. Then there's one in the middle and one on this side as well, as you can kind of see right there. And the best way to get to them actually is kind of tip the machine back with one hand and undo the screws with the driver with the other hand. Unless you can stick your fingers down there and do it that way, but that may take some time. But please be warned, these machines are heavy. Okay, so I've taken those 3 screws that were on the bottom. So there's one here, and one there. I've taken those off, and now we see all of our components down here. You see that this thing in the front right here, that's the filter I was talking about. It's a filter to prevent the pump from getting clogged. And then we see the inverter board that controls the motor right there. And we see some of the suspension rods, or the suspension system here. But yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to undo this right here and take a look at that filter. All we got to do is put a plier on that and turn it counterclockwise. And there we go. So majority of the time we're gonna find this is gonna be clogged either with hair, coins, and all sorts of other obstructions. So that's a main culprit of the washing machine not draining, is a clogged pump filter. The next thing we're going to be examining is to see if this big hose that goes into the filter is clogged. We've eliminated this filter, so now we're just going to eliminate this hose, and then also we're going to see if this this is the same drain hose that we inspected earlier, but this is the side that comes out of the pump, and we'll also inspect to see if this is clogged as well. But in order to do that, we're going to have to take this pump and filter assembly completely out, but that's not that difficult to do. All you got to do is come over here and unplug the pump from the motor connector. It's just that connector right there, and then what we're going to do is undo the filter right here. But before we do that, we're just going to kind of get this wiring harness out of the way, and I believe you can just kind of release it by pushing the tabs on it. You see that those tabs there, and that side kind of just came out by itself. So now we have a little bit more wiggle room right there. For the pump assembly, it's actually really simple, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Alright, so on the Whirlpool model, the Whirlpool Duet, I think there's a screw right here, but on the Kenmores, it's even simpler than that. All you gotta do is just kind of grab this rubber piece right here, just make it vertical, and then pull this up. Then we're just gonna push this filter back and forward, like so. It should free it from these rubber leggings right here. Like so, and like that. So now we have the filter and pump assembly completely loose, and we can undo those hoses. Alright, so to undo those hoses, I'm just gonna have to show you, there's a little metal clamp right there for that hose, that the inlet hose for the filter. So that's what's coming from the outlet of the tub to the filter. All you gotta do is push this clamp this way, and then just pull this right off. And pretty much the same principle for this hose as well, is squeeze that clamp together and push it back, and we should be able to get this off from the pump. That should free up the pump, so then we can analyze to see if there's any sort of clog on this pipe or this pipe as well. Alright, so here, after the pump assembly has been removed, we can inspect our drain hoses. For this one right here, what you can do is you can put this end into a bucket and then come back up here to the main drain hose, because that's what that is, and take it out of there. Then just get one of your water supply lines, or one of the washing machine supply line that goes in, and just kind of push the water into this hose and see if it comes out into the bucket right there. Maybe have two people do it, and that will prove that there's no obstruction in that hose per se. This one right here, the one that goes into the filter assembly coming from directly from the tub, what you can do is you can kind of stick your finger all the way up to the inlet of the tub. I think I feel something hard over here, so if you feel an obstruction, you can just undo that big clamp right there and pull this whole hose off and see what you get. Yeah, so we definitely found the reason why this washing machine is not draining. Look at this. This is what I pulled out of that washer. Ugh, God, what is that? Alright, so in this case, the clog was in this hose right here. There was just a bunch of stuff just completely clogging it, and also at the outlet of the tub which is what this plugs into. But this is what this hose kind of looks like. It's supposed to have this little ball right there, and that just kind of serves as a check valve to prevent dirty water from getting into your clothes if this thing does get clogged up, if the pump filter gets clogged up, I should say. Last thing is to make, sometimes this pump itself can get clogged. So what you need to do, still got some of that gunk on my hands, but just undo these 3 screws right here, and we'll be able to take the motor off of the filter and see if there's something binding up the impellers. As you can see, where the impeller meets the filter housing, there's nothing there. So that's pretty much the last place for a clog to be. So we've methodically covered all of the places where it can be kinked or clogged. So just a quick recap: the main drain hose outlet, the filter housing itself, the hose that comes out of the tub, and obviously the outside of the filter, aka the impeller of the motor. Next thing we'll test for, or the second reason why your Whirlpool or Kenmore washer is not draining, is due to a bad drain pump. This drain pump motor was like so on the housing right there. It just kind of undid the screws to take it off, and so we're going to be measuring the resistance of the motor to see if it's electronically okay. So all we need to do is get our multimeter right here and to put it into resistance mode and measure the terminals right here. Doesn't matter which color probe goes on which terminal. Basically we should have a resistance of around anywhere between 10 to 25 ohms. Should prove that our pump is electronically okay. So don't know if you can see that right there. So we're getting around, let me see if I can't show that's a little bit better. So should be right there. I'll kind of zoom in as well. And so when we put the probes on there, we're getting around 16 or 17 ohms of resistance, 16.5 ohms of resistance. So that shows that our pump motor is actually good. So basically, to recap, we just put that on there and we're getting 16.5 ohms of resistance, which is perfect in that 10 to 25 range. Number 3, I should say, is a bad control board. And to kind of verify that, what we're going to do is we're going to get our multimeter right here, and then we're going to put it into AC voltages, or AC voltage I should say. Then we're going to grab the connector to the drain pump right there, which is right here, and we're going to stick our probes inside the connector right there. So we've kind of jammed the probes into that right there, and I'm gonna put the multimeter like right here. Then we're gonna go ahead and plug the washing machine back in, and then also we're going to hit the drain and spin button and see if we get 120 volts AC reading. That would prove that a control board is sending the appropriate voltages to the drain pump. So let's do that next. All right, so one thing I forgot to add before we can do that on the HE3, 4, and 5 models, maybe even the earlier ones, there's a little switch that opens up the circuit when you pull that panel off. So it won't allow you to put it into drain and spin mode if that switch is not depressed. So we are also going to depress the switch. I'm going to try to use like a screwdriver or something just to hold it in to place like so, and that should be depressed. And now we can try to put this into the drain and spin mode and see if we get 120 volts. So a few seconds after hitting the spin and drain, we're getting 120 or 118 volts go into this plug. That proves that the control board is sending the appropriate amount of voltage. And in our case, we knew that because of that. Our issue was that big clog from that tub. But there we go. We're getting 120 volts going to the pump. So that's reason number 3. So now if you go through all of these reasons, so you've checked for clogs and you've checked the pump electronically for electronical failure, you've checked the control board, and it's still not draining. Well, then go ahead and get a replacement pump motor, because it could still be that this pump has failed mechanically, which is a little bit more difficult to test for. I guess you could plug it in right here and see if the impeller moves, but it could be an issue with the impeller's not moving fast enough. So it might be just best bet to just go ahead and replace the pump after you've gone through this entire checklist. But anyways, if you found this video to be helpful, make sure you hit the thumbs up sign.